What is up, guys? Keith Jamison with Fantasy Sports Insight, aka Gator Guy 231 across the DFS industry. I'm excited about this episode, a little different than we have been doing. This episode is going to mostly be about bankroll management, analyzing your DFS results, and how to take those numbers and translate them into more effective way of playing. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy. This episode would not be possible without our awesome partners, RotoTracker. If you have never tried out RotoTracker, you need to do that as soon as you get done at some point today. There is no other site on the internet or in the DFS community that comes close to giving you as many tools and as much power to own your results as RotoTracker. You can import all your results from any of the platforms, get an idea of your return on investment. You can look at your head-to-head matchups, who you've done well against, who you don't, and maybe need to block, or are you a better cash player? Are you better GPP? Should you be playing more of the multipliers? All these things you can see within your results, and we're going to do just a short glimpse of that, but really becoming a effective and profitable DFS player is knowing your numbers. I heard this saying one time back in my financial career, but numbers don't lie, people do. And so often we even lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that we're a great, PGA DFS player, or hey, we're great at baseball. We're just getting some bad breaks. Look, if you've played 10,000 entries and your negative return on investment, reality is something that you're doing isn't working, and you're probably not nearly as good as you think you are. So know your numbers. I'm going to show you some cool ways that you can back into getting how much money you want to make based off the numbers once you get a large enough sample. So I think it'll be really helpful, and I hope you all enjoy. So let's jump in. So if you are watching the video, I have my screen up right now, and I'm showing the 2019 soccer results for me. So you can see over $50,000 in entries fees paid. Of that, 19.05% ROI for a $9,528 profit. Next question is, will this be good? I haven't seen a lot of other players post their soccer results, but I take the ROI in consideration of like the stock market. So a great year in the market is 10%. So to make 19% off my soccer entries, I feel is a great number, and something based on my sample size that is very sustainable year over year. So I know kind of the process that I take is working. And I can continue to implement that to keep grinding out a positive bankroll, and winning in DFS is the most fun thing. So just keep doing that and enjoy my DFS. So that is your main screen on a RotoTracker. Now, if this was all RotoTracker did, it'd still be pretty cool. But this is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of all of the power that it can do. I'm only going to be going over kind of just how you can look at your result based on different game type and back into the numbers. You could seriously spend hours analyzing your game, and if you're really taking this seriously, it's something that you should do. So I'm going to come over here, and we're going to kind of go through some of my results game by game. So let me go ahead and sort just by day. So we're going to go from January 1st through December 31st. And we're going to do just DraftKings. And soccer. All right, so Okay, so I have added my filters. So I have DraftKings, soccer, and from January 1st to December 31st. And as you can see, those numbers match what we just had on the other screen. So one of the coolest things we can do, in something like soccer, we have so many different leagues. So we have EPL, obviously, Champions League, Europa League, um, showdowns. We have interleague. We have all these different league MLS. So we have all these different leagues, and obviously all of them have different players, and some of them even have more strategies. Some leagues are more goal dependent than others. So one thing that you could really end up screwing up, so to speak, is playing a league or playing a specific game that just is not doing that well for you. So understanding what league and what games you're the best at is ultimately critical at you being successful. So let's look through some of my results in different game types, so we can understand, or I can understand what I need to be targeting on. So today is Champions League, so it's Tuesday morning. So let's check out how I've done. And on the DK lobby, everything in Champions League says UCL. So let's add that filter, and we can see last year did about a 52% ROI in Champions League, which is fantastic. There was a couple of solid big wins in there, so that is definitely something that is strong for me. Let's check out if it was mostly GPP that got me there. Add. As you can see, that's absolutely what it was. Over a 67% ROI. Champions League is a smaller sample size. Only 272 contests, and I played every single one. So it was one of my probably best leagues that I had, and has been carried over that this year too. So I know kind of going forward, I really need to be focusing on playing more Champions League. Let's check out what cash looks like. So even cash is 24% ROI. Again, numbers that are very, very good, and a solid sample size of 313 contests. So again, something pretty sustainable. Now, if I wanted to go back, I could even add the filter to look back to 2018 to give myself even a bigger filter. And as you can see, 2018 was not nearly as good for me, only a 6.6% ROI. So again, I think a lot of that is, just like in anything, as DFS players, we always get better. I feel like my own soccer playing has gotten better as I understand more and more targeting floors, and understand the trade-off between floor and also, upside. So I do think that this is something that I can maintain. So looking forward to that. Let's just do a couple more so I can just kind of show you those tools. So Thursday is Europa, so let's search that, UEL. And I still only have double ups chosen. Not a huge sample here, 215, 25.37% ROI. I played a lot more GPPs last year in Europa. And as you can see, a lot more entries, 995 entries across 173 contests. That means multi-entering some of them. 21.71% ROI. Thought it would have been more than that, but anyhow, solid ROI. Another thing I wanted to show is Showdown. You can search here. Now that's becoming more and more popular. So over 1,800 contests, so that's a really big sample, and probably where I'm going to show you how to do the next number. Really good ROI. I feel really good about my strategy in Showdown, which is targeting high floor players, and depending on how I see the game, doing some stacks, but close to 17% ROI, over $2,100 in profit. So that's where I kind of want to stop and show the next thing, and kind of my biggest point in all of this video. So one thing that I think is paramount to know and to have decided before you really get too far into DFS is, what do you want to accomplish? Are you wanting to do this as like a primary second income, or are you more here for recreation? More and more people that I talk to, as much as they love the recreation and the fun, they ultimately have financial goals that they want to achieve with DFS, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're playing for money, you're investing time, you absolutely should have numbers in mind you want to get out of it. So I want to go through how to actually get those numbers. So this is where RotoTracker is so huge, because you have to have your numbers to do this. You can't look for 1 week and take that as a sustainable sample. The more numbers and the more entries that we have, the better idea we can have of what we're doing. So I'm going to use this showdown because over 9,100 entries is a very solid sample size that is sustainable to project forward. So let's say that I decide that my ultimate goal is $2,000 a month extra I want to add to my income. So how do I decide how much I need to play? Well, we need to do two things. We need to look at our GPP, and sorry, I had only had GPP scheduled here. So let's go ahead and start with double ups. So my showdown double up is 18.93% ROI. And let's just, for the sake of this example, let's just say that I want to make 2,000. I really don't like the GPP game. I mostly just want to do it through cash games. So what I would need to do is take my 2,000. I'm trying to find a calculator. Sorry, guys. My 2,000, and I want to take that and divide it by my ROI. So 2,000 divided by 0.1893, and that equals error. So 2,000 divided by 0.1893, and that gives me $10,565. So in order to make $2,000 off of my ROI, I need to wager about 10,000 worth of doubles. Now in soccer, we don't have massive lobbies, but we absolutely can get there. If we're playing most of the slates and we start gauging up in our entries, you can easily still get that much volume. You just have to be consistent. You can't all of a sudden decide, one slate, I'm just going to play GPP this slate. You really got to just have your strategy, put your best foot forward, and continue to grind. And again, if you have 1 month that's a loser, your long-term numbers are still showing you that you're a profitable player. Look back at your strategy, make sure you're not deviating from what you know is successful, and you will get to those numbers. So that's pretty much kind of the end in terms of the analyzing results for this part. I'll be doing another feature on this if you guys enjoy it, so please give me some feedback. GatorGuy231 on Twitter, or you can find me in our Discord channel, completely free to join. So do that. Final part, I just want to give RotoTracker one last plug. Again, this little episode and analyzing these results wouldn't be possible without them. So make sure that you you check it out. I have a link posted at the bottom of the page, just going with our FSI referral link. If you use that link, we will be throwing in some free stuff as well, some free subscriptions. So make sure to do that, and then email us at fsidfs@fsidfs.com if you use that link, so we can make sure we hook you up. If you don't want to use the link, that is okay too. Just go straight to rototracker.com. They have some free plans where you get your last 500 entries, and then they have some very affordable entry-level plans where you can go back and get a full sample of results. Buy it for the year for the best price, or go month to month. They have every option for you. But whatever you do, make sure that you get those numbers. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that section. I'm going to do a quick Q&A before we jump off for today, and then I'm going to get over to recording some Champions League, and we'll have that up later. So first question I got was, Gator, I follow you since you did your mission years back. What would you say is the most common mistake players? What is the most common mistake players make that causes them to not be profitable? So I think ultimately, more players than are given credit for are actually good players in terms of making good picks and uh, good selections, but they just don't know how to manage their bankroll. So, I've seen and I hear people all the time telling me, all right, I'm putting 15 to 20% of my bankroll on this slate. I really like it. I'm playing some tournaments. I'm playing a couple cash games. I'm super excited. And then it goes to hell. And now all of a sudden 20% of their bankroll is gone. That's not sustainable. A week where you may not win anything, especially in GPPs, is going to happen. So the whole I'm going big on this slate, I think, is the single biggest mistake players do make. What you need to do is adopt a specific percentage of your bankroll that you're playing daily. I personally don't think it should exceed 5%. But if you aren't starting with a huge bankroll, or you can eventually reload it, maybe 10% as a maximum, with a solid, split of cash and GPP is where you want to go. And you should be playing more cash games. Obviously, there's a 50% chance that you win in like a 50-50. What is that, like 43% in most doubles, versus in more GPPs than not, your chances of winning are only 18 to 20%. And even so, a lot of times you're not even doubling your money. So again, focus on cash if you're really trying to grind out a bankroll, and don't go too big. Second question, when it comes to soccer, how do you get the core plays? So that ultimately to me is all about building a floor. The guys that I'm quote unquote calling a core play need to have high floor and need to have requisite upside if they are more on the expensive side to pay off that salary. What you don't want to do is force in, let's say, Neymar today. And I'm not saying not going to play him. I want to go over that on the next pod, but he's over 12,000. If, let's say, all he did was take corners, he probably would not pay off 12,000. But we know with Neymar, corner kicks are just the minimum that he does. He draws 5-6 fouls a game, shoots a ton, and those shots are incredibly effective, as he's one of the world's best players and he scores very often. So realistically, you're talking 20, 25 points that you can a lot of times project. Same with Messi, same with Ronaldo. So you just have to weigh in, do they have a floor, which oftentimes is set piece taking. Are they a favorite? Are they going to command the ball and have maximum corner opportunities? Or, are they kind of overpriced for their role, at which point they probably wouldn't be a core play? I hope that helps. Message me if I did not answer that enough. Next one, Euro 2020. Are you excited? Yeah, I'd be absolutely stoked about it. I love that tournament. I love international football. I prefer international football to club football, but I'm no health expert, but I don't. Doesn't appear that we're gonna have Euro this summer with all the Corona stuff. Looking more and more like it's gonna get pushed back, which would be a bummer. But ultimately, I think the safety of the players and the public that are coming into these stadiums and 50, 60,000 people piling in is probably more important than the soccer. Two more questions. So the size of soccer lobbies keep going down with betting becoming more mainstream. Are you concerned? So I kind of feel like this question affects everyone a little differently. Personally, I'm in more often than not, the $150 to $250 a slate entry fees, with a mixture of cash and GPP. And I can get that in almost any slate without a problem. Sometimes maybe Liga MX or MLS are a little bit small to get that much volume, but you can still get close. So I don't see, sports betting causing an issue in those respects. And I think a majority of players, 95% of us, are at that level or less. Now, I think who this does affect are the big whale type of players that are doing $4, 5, $6,000 a slate or want to do that. They're not going to find that volume without playing each other over and over and over again. The only person that wins in that situation are the site operators taking a rake. If you put two of the best players against each other over and over and over again, both are going to lose money due to the rake. So I don't see a huge issue for a normal player, but I do think that for the ecosystem, hurting the whales is probably not the best thing. Finally, will this pod always just be about soccer? No. I think obviously today is a good example. I do like the idea of trying to do some DFS, I guess like coaching / improvement. I do have a passion towards that, and I think it's something that we need to see more of out there, and with more honesty and transparency than Screenshot Life has on Twitter. So often people on screenshots just show their wins, but then you don't hear from them for 2 weeks, and what's going on in that time. But the plans for FSI and how we're using this pod channel, this video channel, is really just to not only have me, but some of the other coaches and players on here to go over their process. I know we have had some talks on some other sports that are coming up. We definitely are going to be covering WNBA, which is one of my sports, coming up here in May. And we may also dive into some other things like some wagering or some Monkey Knife Fight picks. So stay tuned. Definitely a lot more to come from this pod channel. So with that, that will wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and just to check out all the content we have on the site, fsidfs.com. And just last plug for Roto Tracker. It's just a must use in your DFS arsenal, so make sure you check them out as well. rototracker.com. Thanks again for listening. Have a great day.